with Calvin Johnson. He's a receiver. You're the lineman. How did that happen? How did you and him kind of hook up?
You know, I mean, me and Calvin have very similar backgrounds. Our parents are very similar when I really look back on it. And it just, when I came to Detroit, I didn't know anybody. Calvin was one of those people I gravitated towards just because of how he carried himself and his family and where he wanted to be. And I saw a lot of those attributes in myself. And things really just took off from there. We just had some synergy and we just built upon that. And now we've been longer entrepreneurs outside of the Lions than we were actually teammates playing for the Lions. So it's just pretty crazy to see that.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and for those of you who are just joining us right now, we are joined live by former Detroit Lions guard Rob Sims. I'm going to ask you one more time for the people who didn't get a chance to hear the response earlier. Tell me what an event like this means to you with all of these people, a who's who of Detroit sports, the foundation. Tell me what it means to you, Rob Sims.
Man, I mean, it just means a lot. I mean, like I said, people having the scholarship piece of it and giving back to the kids is huge and big, and know there's a need there. But just being at a golf outing like this and seeing the Darren McCartys and the Charles Haleys and the Justin Reeds of the world wearing the Super Bowl ring, things like that, man, it's just cool for those guys to be around and for you to be around with it. I just think I'm blessed to be able to kind of, rub shoulders with those guys.
Now, speaking of expectations and Super Bowls and stuff, the Detroit Lions are in a position they've never been in before. People are talking about them possibly going to the first Super Bowl. And I want you to speak as a former professional athlete. With expectations like that and there's pressure, can you melt under that pressure, and what keeps you focused so you can reach that goal?
I think some people can melt. I mean, obviously the pressure is high. I don't see that in this team, man. Last year coming off the playoffs, just kind of being around them, their swagger was way different, man, and they believe on a whole different level. And when you're able to do that, it doesn't matter what they're writing about you, what they're saying about you. Those guys were just laser focused, and I know the coach will keep them doing that. So I think they just got a great opportunity, man. It's time to seize it.
Yeah. You're somebody who played on a couple of Lions playoff teams and unfortunately weren't able to get a playoff win. What did it mean to you to watch this team last year and what they were able to do in the regular season, what they were able to do to go all the way to the NFC Championship game by winning?
And I look back on that year, if we'd have got past Dallas, what we would have done in Seattle and what would have happened, a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas, and I just hope this team doesn't have any of those, man. They just got to go seize it.
Yeah, I tell you what, when he first came here, Dan Campbell, a lot of us thought the dude was just crazy.
Yeah.
But obviously he is a motivator. How important is motivation as opposed to X's and O's? Because I always thought the Lions need someone to push them more than they needed the X's and O's. But, obviously these guys follow him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they've all believed, man. I think you get those coaches that come along every once in a while that can just get all 53 guys headed in the right direction. I think Coach Campbell is that. I think he's done a great job of getting all, not just the players but the coaches, man. A lot of coaches are former players, and that means something to people. And you can see the way they play. He's empowered them to go out there and have a certain swagger, like I said before, and that's what wins, man. Everybody in the league is good, but when you just got that belief and you've got that coach that is always in your corner and is going to ride with you no matter what, win or lose, you got something big there.
Yeah, I want to ask you this. I know you played with a lot of great teammates in your career, but watching this team, what would a prime Rob Sims have been able to do in between Frank Ragnow and Penei Sewell?
Oh, man, me and Penei Sewell would have ran the roost, man. I'm telling you, man. Penei is, I've seen people compare him to Trent Williams, and I think Trent is one of the great tackles left in the game, past the Walter Jones and the folks like that. So Penei is the next guy, to me, period. I've seen a lot of offensive line play. I haven't seen a guy like that, right? And I was the guy when we drafted him that high, like, well, man, that's a high pick for an offensive lineman. But he is as advertised, and he, every single game he goes out there and just puts on the show from an offensive line standpoint. So he's a great player.
Let's say you play next to him. What would be some of the keys that you would talk to him about, because he's a younger guy, obviously, about keeping the right side of the line intact?
Yeah, Penei, like I said, generational talent. I don't have to tell him much. I just got to tell him I'll be there for him. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like his backup, man. Go out there and do your thing. When I'm free, I'm head hunting, and I'm gonna make sure that guy stays off you. But like I said, man, he is one of those guys. He could be singled up. He could, obviously on a run block, if I had a chance to do a double team with him, man, we would maul him. So, man, I'm telling you, he's one of those guys, I wish I could have had the opportunity to play with, but he's a joy to watch.
Is there anything you saw from this team last year that I know they were close. I know they had a 17-point halftime lead, the NFC Championship game. That still hurts to this day. But is there anything that you see that maybe they can improve upon going into next year so that they get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl? And once you're there, you can win it.
Yeah, I think there's, there's always room to improve. I will say this team, especially what they got better in the offseason, I think they'll be able to put teams away quicker. I think the offense is going to rock and roll, and I think, I said the defense, I think they got a lot better, and I think they're going to be real stingy this year. So, like I said, all around can they get better, but I think they did get better with the draft and the offseason. They just got deep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the differences between when you guys played, I thought in the front office, they just selected players who they claim were the best on the board. I think Brad Holmes is trying to build units, and he's trying to get players to build cohesiveness. How critical is that?
It's critical. And when he first came over, I just knew that you had somebody special. He was well talked about in the league. People that I knew in the Rams organization were talking about him and his picks and how he makes picks. But you can tell the way you say he's very intentional about what he does, right? He's not picking just the best guy on the board. He is very intentional about what he does, and it's showing up. The biggest thing between our group and this group is they're winning in the draft. We had the Javed Best, Michaela Shores that, unfortunately Javed got hurt and couldn't play. But I look back on that, if we just had Javed, what him, Calvin, and Matthew would have done with a goon squad up front, offensive line, who knows, man. So, those are the things I kind of think about, but they're winning in the draft, and that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, so I've had the pleasure since being here
for the Dolphins, so I saw the good and the bad and the ugly, what it was to be in and out of the league my whole life, and there was an intentional plan about what I wanted to do when I was done. And I'm being an entrepreneur now for 10 years. This is what I've done the last 10 years. This is my 10th season out of the NFL coming up, man. I just can't even believe it. But it's great that it's happened. It's been a lot of hard work. Anybody's transition, no matter if they're ready for it or not, man, it's tough. But we've been able to sustain, and things are looking up. Things are looking great.
One of the complaints I've heard from former Lions is that they're not asked back to help out.
And I thought I was on a real quick deal, and I've been here a long time, and put my flag in the ground, and now my kids are coming up through Michigan in their teen years. So it's been cool. It's been a good experience for me and my family to be here.
Yeah. I got to ask this because I'm curious to how it is with former Lions. Do you ever wish that you had some of the foundational things that the Detroit Lions have, like a great head coach, a great front office, some of the draft picks that they've had? Do you ever have that feeling, or is it just kind of no regrets? You had your career, and now you're enjoying what the Lions are doing? Yeah,
I don't think I have any regrets for the people I've worked with. If anything, right, I think the ball bounced the opposite way I thought it was going to bounce, at the end of the day. When I was there, I was a true believer in what we were doing and where we were going. And, you said I was playing with one of the best receivers ever to play. Yep. We had a quarterback who was a gunslinger that could do anything. So I thought we were always headed in the right direction. And just, like I said, you pick up a flag at Dallas, things change. You catch a ball in Chicago and they determine it's not a catch, things change. So those are the things that I regret or wish I could have back. But the team and the guys I played with, still very dear friends of mine, and what we built here was a stepping stone to what this is now, right? We didn't get to do it, but it's fun to watch these guys do it.
And who are your favorite linemen to work with?
Dominic Raiola is my all-time favorite, even though he's crazy, and everybody knows that. But he's a legit crazy person. But he was one. Short story. I walked into the facility the first time, and I was walking in my locker, and our equipment guy Josh Brown says, "Hey, I'm gonna put you next to Raiola," and walks out the room and says, "Good luck." Because, Dom is just that guy, bro. He's something else. But I had a great time. Man, me and Jeff Backus, Riley Reif, we had some good years together. Travis Swanson was really young, but I thought he was definitely an up-and-comer. He was on his way. And, we had a lot of fun. Gosler Sherrillis, who was here today, is also our partner in Primitive. I didn't get to play next to guys, but, man, he was a great player as well. So we had some good times.
Right. Funny you should mention Dominic Raiola. He lost Calvin Johnson on Union Lake, thought he had drowned. and said,
I believe it.
"Oh shoot, I'm in big trouble."
I've been out there on them lakes a couple times. I can see how that could happen, but you know what I mean? Like, we had some good times out there on that lake, man. We had some really, really good times.
But he found Calvin. Calvin was with one of his neighbors and ordered pizza, so he wasn't even on the lake.
Oh, yeah.
So he was like,
Like I said, good times. Good
yeah,
times.
he's a good time dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of good times, thank you so much, Rob, for joining us.
Yeah,
it was a
appreciate
true
it, man.
pleasure.
Right. Thank
Good
you,
luck
guys.
with your business too, bro.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you, guys.
Enjoy
Appreciate
the rest of the event. And when we come back, we got another interview with Randy Wise with the what is he? The head of Randy Wise and the winner from the Randy Wise competition. But first, I have to tell you about Dispo. Dispo Dispensary, disposhops.com, your local cannabis plug where you can go to get all of your cannabis needs, pre-rolls, blunts, whatever you could possibly want, edibles. I don't partake, but some people do, and everybody tells me that Dispo is the place to go. Disposhops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward.
All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports.
Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage. Congratulations to the real.
They go right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Hey, whether it's the Stoke Not Scared or any type of Woodward Sports merch you could possibly want, whether it's shirts, hoodies, hats, t-shirts, whatever you could possibly want, Stoke Not Scared, Jack Campbell themed meat missile, the Boo Them Kids shirt, go to the Woodward Sports merch shop and just click on anything and be the best dressed person in Detroit sports. Go to the Woodward Sports merch store today. Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam, filling in for Neil Rule, and the man to my left is Terry Foster, filling in for Darren McCarty. Part 2 of the Flannel v. Terry. I know the last Monday was a little contentious, but today I'm in a good mood.
I want to know, you still married? That's all I care about.
I am still married.
All right.
I am 100% still married, yes. But, of course, joining us right now is Tim Stein with Randy Wise, who is sponsoring today's event. How you feeling today? What is it like to have an event like this with the Randy Wise name on it?
Well, I'll tell you, it's been a great 2 years since we hooked up with Woodward Sports. Tim and I go way back from our kids playing high school together, so to finally see this kind of take shape and be at Detroit Golf Club with such a great event with Calvin and all the celebrities, we're really thrilled and appreciate you guys having us out here.
So I expect you're going to golf really well. But you say you're not golfing, but you look like a young Tom Weiss golf.
Yeah, well, sometimes we got to let the new blood come in, and I'm going to head back to the office, get some work done. We're going to have my counterpart, my protege, Brody White, out here today. And, again, we thank Randy Wise, really. They've given me the means to come out and work with you guys, Randy and Chris and Larry White, all the team over there. Give us the avenue to come out here and play golf, raise money, have some fun, and we love it.
Yeah, tell us more about the Celebrity Golf Tour as a whole.
Well, yeah, it's a creation that kind of, there's a lot of podcasts out there on the golf course now, and Tim and I talked when he first started up Woodward over at Lady Jane's. We got to do something together, and we have. And last year was our first big year. We're expanding upon it this year, and we're actually doing 2 different drawings each month now. The first one is to play in the celebrity golf event with us, and we did do a drawing for that. And we have a gentleman here today that won that drawing. We'll get to him in a second. And then we're also doing a drawing once a month to play. One guy will bring 3 buddies. We have a VIP bus. We're going to go out and record them and feed them and play golf at a country club. It's going to be great. So just a lot of fun selling cars and trying to make a difference.
And I guess you guys would be so serious about the golf that there won't be any drinking either.
No, we do not. Yeah, there will be some drinking.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Right.
My bad.
Maybe 1 or 2, but that's it. We get nervous out there.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's something that has grown a lot from when you first started it. Like, what are the type of things that have facilitated it to where it is now, to where it seems like there's a tour stop on the tour like almost every week in the summer?
Yeah. Well, there is, and that's really what is happening. It's not just us doing it. There's a lot of other podcasts out there because it's a way to reach a bigger viewing audience. Woodward has put together such a great program out here, and we get to come on here and talk with your viewers, and it just expands from there. And then, again, with these great foundations we get to play for, raise a lot of money for good causes.
I know you're a sports fan, too. Are you excited about the Tigers, or are you saying, I want to see more?
Well, I happened to be in Vegas recently for a NASCAR event and made a bet on the Tigers to win the Central Division.
Wow.
It's in my pocket. It's a sizable amount, and I'm still holding out hope because I'm a big Tigers fan, and I got the honor of playing with Kirk Gibson in one of our last podcast events. So,
Okay, I just hope you're not taking bread and meat from the kids, though.
Yeah, no way.
To make
Never.
that bet.
Never,
All right.
never. All right. On to our winner, I think.
Yes, go on ahead.
So we did, again, thanks to Tim McCullum's great idea and Larry White, we're going to pick one drawing for every podcast we do this summer, and they're going to play in our celebrity podcast. And I'd like to introduce John Shear, who is a friend of mine but filled out a form, and we pulled out his name. And welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you, Tim. I just wanted to thank
And I'm going to pass these headsets so we can hear them.
There you go.
Well, thank you, Tim. Just a big thanks to Randy Wise and Tim Stein and all the guys, and what a special event. Happy to be the inaugural winner. Hopefully we can hit some good golf shots and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I see that you were the winner to play the golf with the foursome today, including Darren McCarty. Tell me what that feels like for you, what kind of an honor that it is.
Oh, it's amazing. I met Darren before and look forward to playing with him. Understand he's quite the putter. I'll get a few lessons hopefully from him and see what we can do out there.
Now, he hits the ball, bro. You got bad information. He hits the ball.
Well, I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
So we'll just try to keep up with him.
The question, are you going to be able to hang with those guys out there? Are you pretty good, or are you kind of nervous about
Well, I am what they call an elite net golfer.
Oh.
So, I use the handicap to my full capabilities. So, yes, I'm going to hang with Darren.
Well, that's huge. And if you can hang with him, man, you're going to have a good day.
Yeah. So, thanks again to everybody. It's an amazing opportunity, and look forward to having a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. And a thank you to Tim Stein and John Shear. Thank you for joining us. It was a true pleasure, and enjoy the day.
So you represent the shirt,
enjoy
too?
the day. That was
Take care.
Tim Stein with Randy Wise and John Shear, the winner of the gets to play golf with the foursome today, including Darren McCarty. We can't thank them enough for joining us, and we can't thank this event enough for having us. Let's go to break a little early. When we come back, the Detroit Tigers. Some people have a case of Tiger fever, and some people will not. But we're going to talk about that a little bit when we get back. But first, I have to tell you about the morning show, Wake Up Woodward, that went on live from the Detroit Golf Club before us today. KG was on the desk. Matt Broder was on the desk. You had Justin. You had JB. And you have Kool-Aid, Brandon Dent of the Pistons beat reporter. He is with them usually. He is now in Vegas for Summer League. Please join in every single morning, 8 to 10 a.m. Watch the newest morning show in the city of Detroit and enjoy. It's the Wake Up Woodward crew.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Give your pet the best at Premier Pet Supply. They've got locations all around Detroit. They've got a nice hometown feel while being a chain store. And you know what? If you want to give your pet the best, do what I do. Give your pet the best like I give my pet the best. I don't settle for anything other than Premier Pet when it comes to my golden retriever Jake and my orange cat Milo, giving them all the best food, toys, treats, anything that they could possibly want. Visit any of the many stores around Metro Detroit or visit their website at premierpetsupply.com. Welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam, joined by Terry Foster, and we have another special guest, one of the greatest Detroit Lions of all time.
Nah, he's not special. It's just Lomas, man. Stop it.
Hey, I'm not a legend like you, T-Foss, so when we get Rob Sims and Lomas Brown out, I'm pretty excited. Come on.
All right, you can be excited if you want.
One of these things is probably a little bit less of a legend than the others, but that's okay. It's obviously T-Foss. I'm kidding, but no. Lomas, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yes. I'll just leave it at that with
All
you.
right.
Yes. So, what does it mean to you to be a part of an event like this, where there's so many people? It's a great cause. Detroit sports legends, every single place you look, including yourself. What does this day mean to you?
Oh, I mean, it's awesome. It really is. And, you know, the great thing is how the community, how the support that comes out. And it's really great to see all the different guys that have flown in, all, like you say, the legends that are here, you know, the dignitaries, the organizations that have supported the Calvin Johnson Foundation for the years. And, you know, I'm not a golfer, so I just go out here. I just ride around, hang out, you know, shake hands, kiss babies.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know, I don't want to shake babies out there.
No,
So
don't
I
do that.
wanna
You should be serving drinks out there, man.
I should be.
Yeah,
You know, I might
telling
run.
people jokes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I think I talked to you about this. I had a conversation about you with Emmanuel Stewart, who is the great boxing. And your name came up, and he said, what makes Lomas Brown so good? I said, you know what? He's a puncher. He's got those long arms, and he's like, punch you and say, you know, get out of here. You ain't getting to my quarterback. He said, if I could work with Lomas Brown and some other dudes, the next great heavyweight champion is an offensive lineman or a left tackle. And I think I brought up to you, said, no, T, I'm not going to fight nobody.
Look, man, I'm not trying to get punched in the face, man. At least in football, I got equipment on and I'm protected, man. Those boxers, man, what they go through. And I actually had a neighbor of mine when I was 12 years old, man, took a look at my hands, and he asked my dad, why don't you get him into boxing? And I'm like, man, are you crazy? I'm not trying to go in there and trying to let nobody beat me in the face or the body for 10, 15 rounds. It was 15 rounds back in the day. 15 rounds, no.
Oh man, that's absolutely brutal. So obviously you were a part of some incredibly talented offensive lines back in your playing days, but how does this one that the Lions currently have, is this the best offensive line in Detroit Lions history?
I think so. It's hard to, it's hard to go against that. And, I thought our line was probably one of the best lines, especially before, the unfortunate injury with Mike Utley and the passing of Eric Andelsack. I thought we had a chance for our line to be compared to Dallas's line. But you have to say that with Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker and, with Frank Ragnow, what those guys have been doing consistently. And that's the key. You have to be consistent with it. You have some lines that come in and they do it for a year or two. These guys as a group, they've been doing it over the last 4 or 5, maybe 6 years. So I like what they've done, and I like what they're going to do for this season, because we all know that's where it starts and stops at, up front with the O&D line.
No, that is true. That is the backbone of this team. But you guys, you're part of a group that made the last NFC Championship game, and it never went beyond that. Why not?
I mean, again, that's a great question, but it was a lot of unfortunate things that happened. Again, we talked about losing 2 starting offensive linemen within months of each other. We talk about some of the inconsistencies in quarterback play, which we now know and we see is the most important position on the football field. We talk about some of the inconsistencies in our coaching staff. As you remember, man, we went from the run and shoot to the silver stretch, to this, to that, so we kept, and you had a weapon like Barry, and just to kind of see how football has evolved now compared to how it was with these offensive geniuses that you have calling plays and creating plays. It's just a whole different world.
Now, Barry Sanders arguably could be the greatest running back in history. Here's my problem with what happened with Barry. When y'all got to the 10-yard line, you took him out the game.
Mine too.
Right. How?
I didn't like it either. I didn't like it. It didn't make any sense to me because, again, Barry was small enough to where, you really couldn't see him until he, popped out or whatever. And when you get on the goal line, that's actually an advantage. And, of course, we know his legendary leaping ability. So a lot of those, he could just leap. So I didn't like it either, Terry. I don't think we liked that. I can speak for the offensive line. We didn't like it either because, again, we felt that Barry would have so many more career touchdowns if we would have left him in there, and he could have been a weapon, I think a greater weapon inside that red zone.
Now, you had so much respect for Barry that if he ran 30, 40, even 50, 60, 70 yards, you tried to run down there and help him up.
Oh, yeah.
Why was that the case?
Because, again, we always said, me and the great Kevin Glover always said that as hard as Barry works for us, he should never have to pick himself up off the ground. And we meant that. And that was part of our pact that we were going to get there. Plus, if you let guys lay on top of them, guys were dirty back in the day, man. It'd be cheap shots. Again, sometimes that zaps the energy out of guys. But we felt that as hard as he worked for us, that was the least we could do is to get downfield and make sure he didn't have to help himself up.
Yes, I love that. And that just shows what a great teammate you were, man. And I appreciate that. And speaking of yourself, you have a unique perspective that not a lot of former Lions have, because you've had yourself an incredibly successful act after your playing career, being the color commentator alongside Dan Miller on the radio broadcast. What was it like watching this team this year from your perspective?
It was so awesome, man. It really was. I mean, it was really awesome and everything to see this team and just how it grew, especially over the last 2 years, and just to be a part of that and just to see how these young kids, they didn't care. They didn't care, man. They didn't carry none of the baggage of the, that we had back in the 90s. They didn't worry about that. They didn't worry about, the only thing they worried about was setting their own trend. And kudos to Dan Campbell, that whole coaching staff, Brad Holmes, Mike Disner, all the guys, man, that makes this happen, man, because now it's a machine. And that's the one thing, and Terry can attest to this because he dealt with the top office, man, back in the day. Man, I think this is the best front office, one of the best front offices in the league, and I think how they run things, I think makes them one of the top teams and makes Detroit one of the top teams. We had great players. We had pretty good coaches. I think their coaching staff is a lot better than ours. But the front office, the communication between top all the way down to the players, I think it's probably better than it's ever been here for the Detroit Lions.
No, it is the best. In fact, at that time, the reason I didn't believe in you guys long term is because you were run by clowns. I mean. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I can't answer that.
All right. I know you can't say it, but you're run by clowns.
Yeah.
Well, and kind of along the same lines, what player from this current team, the 2023 team, do you think could have helped the 91 team get over the top the most?
Wow. The 91 team, okay, I wouldn't say, because any other team it would be quarterback, but that's a great question there. We were pretty stacked. Maybe some more help in the secondary. Maybe. Well,
a better secondary coach. How about that?
Okay.
Because I'll tell you the story. It would be the secondary. I was dogging the secondary, and I always used to get in trouble with you guys. So some of the secondary guys grabbed me, pulled me into a room, and said, "Watch this." They had a freeze frame that they were playing 13 yards off the receivers. And they said, what are we supposed to do then?
Wow. Yeah.
And who's the secondary coach is Wayne's brother.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say secondary. I would agree. I think if we had more help or, you had Benny Blades was awesome. But if you could have a versatile Brian Branch back there that you could play – in different positions. He could cover the slot for you, almost like a nickel. I think a guy like that could have made a difference on our team.
That is a great segue, because what can we expect to see from Brian Branch in year 2 after an incredible rookie season?
Man, I'm telling you, man. So I'll ask this. Who I'm most interested in watching going into this set is Jack Campbell.
Okay.
Because it kind of reminds me of Chris Spielman. His first year, how Chris kind of struggled, kind of, it was almost like that dog in the meat market. You just chasing everything. And that's because the game moves so fast. And I tell everybody, it's a learning curve. I don't care who you are. You get in the NFL, there is a learning curve. You go through all the great ones, Barry Sanders, any of the great ones, Robert Porsche. All the great ones go through this learning curve. I went through a learning curve coming into the NFL. So, but I just think Jack Campbell is going to make the stride. He's physically there. I think the experience he got last year, so he's one of the guys that I'm really, really looking forward to meeting with.
If you were playing today, if you were a young man, you would probably be going up against Aiden Hutchinson. How do you combat what he does?
Effort. I mean, that's it. I mean, that would be the one thing. I would pack my lunch. I would have me a good pre-game meal because I know I'm going to be in for a fight each and every play to the end. I'm telling you, that's the thing. That's the trait that he has is his effort. And I think it's infectious with the team, and it rubs off on the other defensive linemen. And you see them, John Kaminsky, the guys like that, trying to give the same effort that Aiden Hutchinson gives. But the guy, he's going to work you from the beginning of that whistle to the end of that whistle. He's going to work you for the 60 minutes. So you're going to have to pack a lunch and be ready.
I love that. I'm definitely known as the biggest Aiden Hutchinson slappy on the network, so that definitely is a great to hear, and everybody here can attest to that. I wanted to ask you about Giovanni Manu and Christian Mahogany.
I want to see that.
Yes.
I want to see 6'8", 357 in real life. I want to see that in real life, what that looks like a man that size. I just want to see that. That is a big human being, man. So I'm interested in seeing how they're going to play him. Because I even heard some guard, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. If he could dip had that type of hip flexibility, he would be a killer in there at guard. It's just hard for me to imagine that his hips are that flexible where he could get up under some of these three techniques that he would have to block. But if he could, oh, my gosh, that would be an ultimate weapon in there.
And actually, you should be in awe because this is the greatest left tackle in Lions history.
Oh.
We got into the argument about it. Because it's Luke Quickmeyer.
Yeah.
I said, this dude weigh 180 pounds. Come on. He's not as good as you.
Well, actually, that leads me to this, and I know you're a very humble man, Lomas Brown. You're clearly the best left tackle in Lions history. I'm going to say it too. What would, if somehow, some way, a prime Lomas Brown could teleport into this Lions team and play opposite Penei Sewell? Are you giving up any sacks the whole season?
Oh, my gosh. That would be. You know what? I'm telling you why it would be so fun, because I got a coordinator like Ben Johnson. Ooh. I mean, the dude, man, I would love to play. Thank you. I would love to play for Ben Johnson, man, because I know I'd have got me a couple of passes, which in 18 years I didn't get. He probably had the big fella on a reverse or two. Probably a screenplay for the big fella, So I know I would have had something Ben would have worked up for me, man. So just the creativity, again, that's what I talked about. And Terry knows, with our coaching staff back in the 90s, it just wasn't there. That creativity, just, the innovation that you see with how these guys call plays now. It just wasn't there back there for us. So, yes, man, I don't think we give up any sacks. I'm going to go on record to say that. None during the whole season.
Bam, I could believe it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you this, too. As a former player, as somebody who experienced some success, at least team success, but not quite what we saw last year or what we expect to see from the Lions, is there a part of you that has any wishes that maybe in the early 90s and the mid-90s that the Lions could have been a little bit better of an organization and maybe you would have experienced this kind of team success? Or are you just happy?
Flannel, he didn't want to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I'm just saying.
What are we talking about?
It's just a little bit of a conflict because you're the color commentator. I know you're excited, but is there any fear of missing out, or is it just happy for what they have now?
No, just happy for them. Because, again, like Terry said, I've gotten to the pinnacle. I was able to win the Super Bowl with Tampa Bay.
Yes.
I lost the Super Bowl with the Giants, too, so I know what it feels like, to get there twice, and there's nothing like it in the world. So, the first things I thought about when I won my Super Bowl, the guys I thought about were Kevin Glover, Barry Sanders, guys like Herman Moore, guys that didn't get the opportunity to, get a Super Bowl, to go to a Super Bowl. So I thought about that more than anything else. So, man, if the Lions get there, man, I'll feel like I'm part of it by being on the broadcast. But, man, it's something that, man, they've been, 30-something years since the last NFC Championship game till we got there this year. That's crazy, but hopefully they're there for the next 4 or 5 years because I think that window could be open that long.
And, you'll get a ring.
You'll
get a tiny one, but you'll get a ring.
And you know what? I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll sure take it. You get a ring for losing the Super Bowl?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they call it the NFC or AFC Championship.
Oh, yeah, I know about that.
Yeah, okay, but that's what I'm saying. But, every time you look at it, you lost the Super Bowl.
Right.
There's nothing fashionable about that. Nothing.
Yeah. Yes, and I got to respond to this from John Macaroon in the chat. Man, Sam forgot Brown got to the NFC Championship with the Lions in 1991. No, I remember it wasn't as – you guys obviously got blown out, unfortunately. It was close at halftime, but you ended up getting blown out. And even Terry Foster said that he didn't believe in the organization back then like he does now with this team. So I knew that. I knew that, but you guys didn't have a 17-point halftime lead. But to kind of piggyback off of that, what do you think of what the Lions were able to do in the offseason? And did they do enough to get over the hump to maybe where they go to the NFC Championship game? Maybe they play it at home at Ford Field and they win it.
To me, that's the key. To me, the key is everything to run through Detroit. And that means getting the number 1 seed. You have to. And I think the Lions realize that. I think the players realize that too. So, every game will be taken on with importance because every game's going to count. So they know if it runs through Detroit, the likelihood the next game we'll play will be in New Orleans in the Super Bowl. So to me, I've had fans, what they did last year, the away games, man, it was something special. Every away game, man, and even though the Baltimore game didn't turn out the way we wanted to, and the San Francisco game didn't end the way we wanted it to, man, the fans showed up and showed out at every game.
All right, we want to thank you for joining us, but it just shows what these people in Detroit think about the Detroit Lions.
Yes, sir. They all in. Go Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Go Lions.
Even when the Lions were bad, they were still all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lomas.
Absolutely.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
All right, home team.
Hey, do you know what? Do you know what else is an absolute pleasure? Getting a haircut at Lady Jane's, of course. I got one fairly recently. It's got mixed reviews amongst the chat, but you know what? You guys are all haters. My wife likes it, so that's all that matters. But go into Lady Jane's, get your haircut, get the hot towel massage, anything that you could possibly want from the very talented stylist. You could walk in 7 days a week. It's open from 10 to 8. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It is wicked awesome.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! Guardian Alarm offers you customized solutions from real experts. Their professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. They also have 24/7 professional monitoring. You can call them anytime, day or night, and no Guardian Alarm team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. And of course, they have technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. So call them at 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT, and let them know Woodward Sports sent you.
Hey, welcome back to Big D Energy Live on the Woodward Sports Network. We are live from the Calvin Johnson Foundation second annual Celebrity Golf Classic at the Detroit Golf Club. I am Flannel Sam, filling in for Neil Rule. The man to my left is Terry Foster.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going through a This Is My Life, because these are all the dudes I used to battle with. Rob Sims, Lomas Brown.
Terry's greatest hits.
Yes.
Right.
No, it's again, as I said when Rob Sims was up here, and it could definitely apply to Lomas Brown. One of these things is less of a legend than the others. But you know what? It just makes it all the more gratifying that I am here today with my brothers at Woodward Sports with all of these legends. Before we get into the Detroit Tigers, I know it's all over the chat, and I just have to address it. Before we get into it, we're not going to spend very much time on this. Yes, unfortunately, our former president, Donald Trump, was the victim of a assassination attempt at a rally. I think we can all agree that we don't want that to happen. We don't want it's unfortunate. If you want Donald Trump to not win, beat him at the ballot, don't shoot him.
Yes.
Obviously, that goes without saying. I don't want to talk about it for too long because I don't want it to get political, but it was something that I think anybody who saw it was a little shooken or taken aback, at least for a little bit. And we all know that this country could not handle the assassination of a former president. It would just no good, no bueno.
No, but, I grew up at a time where a president was assassinated every 20 years. So it didn't affect me because I've seen it way too many times. And so I'm glad it hasn't happened in many, many, many decades. And I'm glad the dude is fine. But once again, somebody else got killed. That's messed up. But, the thing about this is we always think the Secret Service has got everything on lockdown. They didn't this time.
No, they did not.
They screwed up, and there's going to be some heads that are going to probably roll because of this.
Yeah, and probably rightfully so at this point because nobody should be able to even be able to take that shot. But you know what? We addressed it. It's all well and good. Thank goodness that Donald Trump is okay, and obviously somebody has tragically passed away who was attending the rally. That's very, very tragic and very, very unfortunate. And hopefully,
but you know what? It might change him.
We'll see.
Supposedly he tore up his speech for the Republican convention. He's got other things he's going to try to talk about healing the country, which is something he did not talk about before. So it might change him. We'll see.
To change topics, pretty hard cut on this. I had to put the headset on after we were done interviewing Lomas to do the ad read, and I had to make it bigger. So I have a bigger head than Lomas Brown.
That's
wow.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
Now you got a bucket.
I got a noggin on me, Terry. That's for sure.
No, we all knew that you have a well-sized head, but still putting it into perspective of a former greatest left tackle in the history of the Detroit Lions, you have a bigger head than him. That's oddly, I'm sure, a flex for you, as it should be.
I mean, yeah, kind of, but also it makes me like, do I have the biggest head in the world? Like, what is going on right now?
Well, let me say this. You have a big head, but you're not big-headed.
That's fair.
Yes.
I appreciate that, Terry. Thank you very much. I try to keep it humble. You are talking to broadcaster number 6 now, though, on Netflix's Receiver.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they used one of my quotes. I made it big time, Terry. You're going to have to hook me up with your agent.
My agent is me.
Oh, okay.
So I guess I'll represent you there.
I appreciate that, Terry.
Yes, and to digress a little bit from there, but thank you so much, Spencer Raxter, for letting the world know, as you should. How about the Detroit Tigers? I know a week ago today, me and you did a show together where I was maybe a little more optimistic than you following the sweep of the Cincinnati Reds, and I said that in order for them to have any hope of dreaming, in order for me to get back in to any extent, they needed to win at least 4 of 7 on that very difficult homestand against Cleveland and Los Angeles. But they did. They one-upped. They won 5 out of 7, and now they sit 7 games out of the wild card after finishing the month of July on an 8 out of 10 run and finishing the month of July with a 9-4 record. So Terry Foster, I have to ask you, are the Tigers back?
The Tigers are not back, but before they got on this road, they were 7 games back in the wild card. They're still 7 games back. It shows how difficult this is. Now, what they are is they are exciting. What they are is, if you have TV, which I don't have, they're worth watching on TV. But you know what? if I were in charge of the Tigers, which I'm not, I would change my mindset. I'm not trading Scooble. I'm not trading Flaherty. What I would do is say, okay, these young guys are starting to produce. Here's my thinking. I'm going for it next year. I'm bringing in a couple more bats. You're still going to have to bolster this offense. I'm keeping my starting pitching because if you do get in the playoffs with these guys,
oh yeah,
you are a dangerous, dangerous team.
Yeah.
So I don't understand about selling. I don't understand none of that talk right now. That's not my mindset. And plus, the Tigers owe it to their damn fan base to at least one time say, you know what, we're going to be major players. We're not going to be this bullshit team that's always selling. We're not going to talk about small market and keeping the payroll, within, the certain confines. It's time to show that you are a major league team.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, what I am happy that I've seen through the entire month of July is that you can kind of see a core building. In the month of July, Colt Keith has an OPS of over 1,200. Riley Green over 1,000. You've got Reese Olson and Tarek Skubal being undefeated and pitching well. Even a guy like Justin Henry Malloy has an OPS of over 900 in July. Even one of your best bullpen pieces, Tyler Holton, has an ERA of 0.0. That to me sounds like a core. And then, of course, you've had veteran complementary pieces stepping up, like Ryan Valade and Andy Ibanez's back-to-back home runs.
You just said a four-letter word.
What was that?
Core.
Yes.
Which means if the core is in place, that means Chris Ilitch, talking to you, brother, is ready to spend. He's willing, that's what we kept hearing. Well, if we got a core, then we would spend more money. If we had a core, we would really go for it. You're saying they got a core. There's no excuses anymore.
Yeah, you could argue about Justin Henry Malloy. You could say that Tyler Holton really isn't part of the core, or I don't even think there's any argument about Reese Olson anymore. But Tarek Skubal, Colt Keith, with how he's been playing, with how Riley Green making an all-star, and of course Tarek Skubal making one as well and possibly being the Cy Young, you've got a pretty good base. And one of the things that I think we were all impressed with this Dodgers series is they were resilient. They let one slip away on Friday, but they came back on Saturday down 9-4, and they kept coming to the bottom of the ninth, and it was contributions all across the board. It was Wensiel Perez with a single, Justin Henry Malloy, Matt Vierling doubled them home, and then Carson Kelly got a single, and that was all before Colt Keith was able to tie the game up. And even in the game yesterday, I'm not saying that Zach McKinstry should be part of this team moving forward, but he got a big triple. Justin Henry Malloy hit him in, and then I had to eat a little bit of crow with one Matt Broder from Wake Up Woodward because he's always pro-bunting, and I'm very much anti-bunting on almost every circumstance. But it worked.
So you don't want to bunt or steal bases?
I do not.
All right.
That's all right. But
Good
know
luck,
what,
brother?
But you know what? I will acknowledge that this time it worked. Bunting did what Broder believes, and a lot of people who are pro-bunting believe that it can do, which is put pressure on the defense, which obviously the Dodgers pitcher couldn't field his position worth a damn. And that cost the Dodgers, and it allowed the Tigers to get a win. So for this one, Broder, you got me. But one thing I will say, I don't like to victory lap because I just like to eat my crow in these situations, and it's the first time I'm saying it. One thing that I've been on for a very long time now, put Carson Kelly and Andy Ibanez in the lineup together, and they did it the last couple of games, and look what happened. I'm not saying that they were the stars of the game or anything like that, but they got some hits. Andy Ibanez had a home run. They got on base. So at this point right now, I'm seeing the makings of what could actually be a pretty good lineup. I've been on that case for a long time, that there's some undervalued diamonds in the rough on this Tigers team that may be more valuable to a potential run. Run than we think, maybe? 7 games out is 7 games out.
Maybe, yeah. But, you dug yourself this hole, and now you're back close to 500. But this shows one thing. We saw sellouts this weekend, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And part of it was because of Ohtani. Part of it was because of the Dodgers. But a lot of it had to do with the Tigers. Once again, Chris Ilitch, I'm talking to you. You don't have to give them much.
Yeah.
Give them an above 500 team. Give them a team that's exciting. And guess what? It doesn't matter how much you spend because people are going to show up. They're going to buy you hot dogs. They're going to buy you hamburgers. They're going to buy you overpriced beer and
Mega
those
slice
big-
pizzas.
those big old drinks and
Yeah.
$50 pizzas. They'll buy that. Give the people something exciting. Add 2 more bats, bolster your bullpen a little bit, and keep this starting pitching. Don't trade anybody away.
Yeah, I mean,
You sell out all next year.
hey, Jack Flaherty is somebody that there have been conversations about, but in his last game, I mean, he pitched really, really well. He's had a phenomenal season. And Tarek Skubal, I think we're both in agreement that, and most of the people in this town are, don't trade him. Pay him. And I know that Chris Ilitch, that's another discussion for another day. He's got a couple years left.
Another
but,
4-letter word.
Yeah. Another 4-letter word, unfortunately. But yeah, this was a good week. This was a good, I would say, month stretch. I mean, not month stretch. The month of July stretch for the Tigers. The Guardians and the Dodgers, I'm not calling for it or anything, but it may well end up being the World Series matchup in baseball. You've got the Guardians, who still have the best record in the American League, and the Dodgers, who are probably the most talented team in the National League. They were missing Mookie Betts and Tyler Glasnow, but still, taking 5 out of 7, that's the type of thing that, to me, it validated that sweep over Cincinnati. Because we know Cincinnati's not a playoff team, but the fact they were able to do that.
They're a AAA team.
I wouldn't say they're AAA.
But you know what? The Guardians may not be ready for prime time because their starting pitching is, Is that really going to get you through critical series when other teams are going to probably have better pitching, better starting pitching? I think most times if you have better starting pitching, you're going to win the series. That's why I don't think Cleveland's going to go to the World Series.
And I would probably agree with you on that one. They lost Shane Bieber, their ace, at the beginning of the year. They've had a lot of people step up who you didn't expect to, like a Stephen Kwan, like a Josh Naylor, like a David Fry. Maybe they come back down to earth a little bit. We all know Jose Ramirez is great. But with the Tigers, and I don't want to look too far ahead because we've got all-Star break to do that, but when they come back, they've got 3 at Toronto, and then they've got 13 straight divisional games, including 4 at home against Kansas City, who is a team that they need to pass up eventually if they want to get the wild card. The Kansas City, as currently constructed, is not in the wild card. It's Boston, and Kansas City's a couple games out. But if you have those 16 games, if you take 10 out of 16, if you go 10-6, maybe we revisit from there. Maybe by then they will have shaved some games off of the deficit. Because unfortunately, like you said, they haven't done a whole lot of that.
In baseball, that's how you find out if you're for real.
Yeah.
It's not if you win the sexy series like the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It's if you win those divisional games.
Yes.
And they have the opportunity to pass these teams, Kansas City and Minnesota, Cleveland. They have an opportunity. And I guess the White Sox are so far back that they're not even on the list. They don't even list them in the division anymore. But you have that opportunity. And I can't say this team is back until I start seeing what they're going to do with division opponents back to back to back to back. I'm tired of talking about look at the Tigers did over the last 5 games. I want to see what they've done over a month. I want to see what they do over 30 and 40 game stretches before I'm like, okay, got something here.
And that's 100% fair because we all know that when you get down too much, when you play as poorly as the Tigers did in the month of June, in the month of May, you get to a point where you've lost it before the season's even over. When it's the end of May and you're already 8 games out of the wild card. I don't know if they were 8 games out at that point, but you know what I'm trying to say, where you kind of lost it before you even have a chance. Maybe the Tigers did that. Maybe all this is creating some excitement, letting the fans see that Colt Keith actually is a good baseball player, which Terry, I know we had a discussion the other day. We're going to get more into Colt Keith in a second. But
he's a fine player.
He certainly is. And you know what? That is a great transition because when we get back, we have to talk about Mr. Colt Keith and the heater that he has been on. But first, Swiss Insurance, of course, if you want.
Let me tell you about Swiss Insurance because these Tigers hitters might not need it right now, but you should. Hit up our guy Mark at SwissINS.com if you need the best insurance in the game, or call 313-530-1698. It's Swiss Insurance.
Regular Networks here, Premier Pet Supply, man. Just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola? Really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports. The first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Boys and Girls Club is offering leagues for football and cheerleading, youth football leagues all around Metro Detroit, Highland Park, East Point, Belleville. If you want to get your kids started early in great things like that to get the value of team building and just get some exercise and get them around people and get good mentors in life, sign them up. It's only $175, I believe, for the camp, which isn't too bad at this point. So, yeah, visit Boys and Girls Club today and get your kids in a great organization. Hey, welcome back to Big D Energy live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam filling in for Neil Rule. The man to my left is Terry Foster. We've got Easy in the house. He just walked in. We got Spenmo Rax on the ones and twos, and we've got KG running the sound. So, Spenny, you posted a tweet the other day, or a post on X, whatever you want to call it, that basically said January, February, March, April, June, Colt Keith.
Yeah.
Because he's been on such a heater in the month of July. And Terry, I know on Monday we got into this last Monday, a week ago from today, we got into a little bit of an argument because you said. It was a discussion. You said that Colt Keith, by the end of the season, could have better numbers than Riley Green. He could turn out to be the better player.
Could be.
At the time, I dismissed this as blasphemy. However, Terry, not that I'm worried or anything because Colt Keith's success is good for the Tigers, but you're starting to develop more of a leg to stand on at this point because he's been on an absolute tear. He's the best player in baseball in the month of July.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in the young man.
Yes.
And I think Riley Green is a fine player. I just don't think he's as great as we make him out to be. But Colt Keith, there's just something about him. And you know what? And what if he has better numbers than Riley Green? Would that really upset your world?
No, because I think it would mean that Colt Keith somehow got that season on OPS over 800. I don't think Riley Green is going to slump or anything. It would mean that Colt Keith continued this hot streak for the rest of the season, which we all know he's not going to have multiple months of having an 1,000 OPS, but he's got himself back from that start, which was so difficult, to where right now you're looking at his season numbers and thinking, man, he's having a damn good rookie year. I never thought I'd see that out of Colt Keith this year. I know that a lot of his struggles at the beginning of the season weren't his fault, but the numbers that he was putting up were just so bad, and now with how well he's been playing, he's having himself a nice year. Spencer Raxter, Colt Keith, I know that you've been on that train for a while. You were never as down on him as I was at the beginning. How does it feel to watch this guy just be on an absolute tear through the month of July?
Feels good. I'm kind of devastated right now because I wanted to go talk to Kay Adams, but she left because thanks, Flannel. Yeah.
What did I do?
I had to do my job. Yeah, it's all right. Maybe next time she's in Michigan, I'll get to talk to her. But, yeah, Colt Keith, it's amazing to see what he's been doing. The guy's he's got like a 1,350 OPS in July. He's got 5 home runs. He's got 13 RBIs, 8 base on balls as well. I know you like to hear that, Flannel.
I do.
So it's just awesome to watch Colt Keith and what he's been doing. I've had faith in the kid since I saw him take his first couple at bats with the Tigers. Obviously, it was going to be a little learning curve coming right into the major leagues and getting him that contract right away. But I love to see what Colt Keith's doing. The kid's a stallion up on the plate. Like, he is a big dude. And if they can keep him at short, that would be one of the best bats at shortstop in the MLB going forward. So
yeah, and
Even better than Javi Baez?
Second base.
Second base, yeah.
Second base, not short. But,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, if we can play short, we can put him there, too.
I'm pretty sure he has a higher OPS than Marcus Semien. Talk about a fraudulent all-star this year. But that's neither here nor there. I'll have that discussion with Broder another day probably on Wake Up Woodward. But you know what? Sometimes this guy actually comes with good takes. Brandon Katz agrees with me about Riley Green. We all should, by the way, because he is having an all-star season. But with Colt Keith, I was too dismissive at the beginning. I will admit it. I didn't believe. And now we saw on Saturday, it's not just the numbers that he's putting up. He had maybe the moment of the season for the Detroit Tigers up to this point, tying that game with 2 outs after the Dodgers had actually brought in their closer, like a high fastball from a lefty. It was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, they don't win that game without Colt.
Bro,
Keith.
you got to believe in somebody whose name is Colt.
Yes.
Come on now.
He's got a baseball name for sure.
Right. It's not like Bill or Bob or
And
Boo-Boo or Bobo. It's Colt.
That pitch that he hit that 2-run game-tying
Yes.
home run on, that was a high and tight,
Yes.
94-mile-per-hour fastball that he just muscled out of the ballpark. You love to see that.
You do love to see it. It was, like I said, the best moment of the year for the Detroit Tigers, and he's having himself a hell of a season. And yeah, Brandon Katz, Keith is not in the conversation with Green. I actually agree with
He's
you
a
on this
rookie,
one.
man.
I understand that. No, I understand that.
Kid, I like the kid, man. He swings a hot bat. He's been the hottest player in the MLB in July, and I hope he can continue that going forward.
Yes, and Steven Syrett, to bring up some other Tigers who maybe aren't getting the love or having quite the production as others. Malloy is not putting up numbers, but he's clutch too. So is Wenzel. I'll tell you what. Not to digress from Colt Keith, but Justin Henry Malloy is showing me some things. He showed some pop. He had a huge clutch hit.
He's bigger than I thought he was, too.
Yeah. He had a huge clutch hit on Sunday. He kept the line moving in that 9-4 comeback rally in the bottom of the ninth on Saturday. Justin Henry Malloy is another one. He had some struggles at the beginning of the year, but the fact that he showed some pop, the fact that he's been on a hot streak, his OPS is over 900 in the month of July as well. He's gotten himself to the point where he's putting up good numbers. Not the best. I know his batting average looks a little low, but his OPS is pretty good.
Yep.
His on-base percentage is over 300. I'll take that for now. I will take that. And that's why when I talk about the core, I include potentially Justin Henry Malloy in it, along with a Riley Green and a Colt Keith, although obviously he's not as far along as those two.
All right, fellas, I need to challenge you now.
All right.
Let's hear it.
One of the narratives that we talked about, and a lot of people did, is can the Tigers develop bats? Is that where, the whole hitting coach thing, is that something that the Tigers just don't do well? They don't develop their players. Maybe it just takes a little bit longer. Maybe they had a system where it takes longer for you to develop, to become what we want you to do. Maybe it took them longer to create that base.
Well, it's taken a long damn time for Spencer Torkelson, if that's the fact. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't even want to put that on the Tigers hitting coaches, what's happened to Torkelson. So hopefully we see more of the Colt Keith effect and the Wenzel Perez effect than Spencer Torkelson going forward. But the jury's still out as of right now.
There's got to be something between the years because
Yes.
this dude hit 30 home runs last year. I know it took him forever to get hot, but
He broke Barry Bonds'
right.
college record.
Right.
You
So
don't just
there's
forget how to hit a
something
fastball.
there. It's mental. It's not physical. It's a mental blockage that he has to go through.
Yeah, and I know we're feeling really good, and Louis Perlacky in the chat, I was at the game Saturday, legendary. Yeah, that was
a great game to go to.
Yeah, obviously I wasn't able to make it, but it was, at least the atmosphere, it was probably one of the top moments at Comerica Park in years. And then
Did you get your Negro League jersey while you were there?
I did not go.
Oh, you didn't go.
I did
All
not
right.
go. Unfortunately. But just from what I hear, just from the broadcast, you saw it on Saturday and you saw it on Sunday, 100%. But yeah, just imagine where this team would be if Spencer Torkelson just didn't completely fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
If instead of continuing to play so poorly that he got sent to the minors, maybe he would have had the hot streak that Colt Keith had sooner, so that maybe all of them could be playing well at the same time, and maybe they would be fighting for a wild card spot. Maybe they would be 3 or 4 games out.
Imagine if they scored 3 runs a game.
They'd be undefeated.
Right. They would.
No, I understand that. It's just with Spencer Torkelson, and I've been one who was, and I'm not trying to victory lap or anything like that. I noticed some things that I didn't like last year, even through the 30 home run, 90 RBI season. But I still thought that he was going to be good, that he would at least duplicate what he did last year. But that's why, and this is where I have to give some credit, a guy like Wensiel Perez, who some people think is just not really part of the core moving forward, it's guys like him that prevented you from being like the Oakland A's or the Chicago White Sox when times were bad. He's had himself a damn good year. Guys like Andy Ibanez, or even people who we thought were maybe trade pieces, like a Carson Kelly, for example.
Gio Urshela had the walk-off.
Yes, he had the walk-off.
Yeah, I keep hearing how Perez is not going to be anything for the future.
Yeah.
Is he 40 years old?
No.
Is he 35 years old?
Nope.
He's a young fella.
He is a young guy, yeah.
And this is
So why do we keep? Oh, he can't be remembered.
well, and this isn't even meant to disparage Colt Keith, but still at this point, Wensiel Perez has a higher OPS and on-base percentage than Colt Keith, and Colt Keith is closing the gap. And
Flannel's just got to throw those shots.
No.
You just had to get your licks in.
Hey,
you know what?
It's Wensiel Perez.
Let's
Come on.
stop calling him Flannel Sam and start calling him Analytics
Sam, yeah. Stat Sam.
Guys.
Anno. Yeah, let's call him Anno for
Well,
short.
come on. I don't endorse
Sam
that.
Annel.
I don't endorse that one. But no, my point wasn't to disparage Colt Keith. My point was to highlight just how important he was.
You can highlight someone without tearing down somebody else, Flannel.
No,
Jeez.
It's not tearing down. It's giving a gauge.
I'm going to step in for my pal here. We're being unfair to him. He's not dogging other people. He's just, making his point, which he's entitled to do. This is America.
Yeah, Steve Wild's Flannel, stop being so negative. Hey, a lot of you, and I will say this, and don't get me wrong, I've had my moments with this team. I'm not going to act like, I'm not Matt Broder, who actually was positive on this team pretty much from the jump, and he probably feels vindicated right now. I declared them dead after they got swept in that series at Kansas City. I declared them dead after they lost 3 out of 4 at Los Angeles to the Angels, 100%. I'm not going to say I knew all along, but one thing you've never heard me say is that they don't have – I've never been somebody who opined as much for guys like Matt Chapman and Wyatt Langford as some. I've always said that they have more people on this team that are good, that are capable than you think. And you're seeing it from guys like Wensiel Perez. You're seeing it from a hot streak from Andy Ibanez, from Carson Kelly. Even, I know Mark Canha has struggled as of late, but Mark Canha helped you win a lot of games in April. I'll just say that. And his on-base percentage is still pretty damn good. So I would say, the least of people's problems when it comes to negativity to the Tigers. That title belongs to somebody like Neil Rule.
I'm tired of the whole negative. Maybe you're speaking the truth. Maybe you're speaking the truth sometimes. Last time I checked, the Tigers are still 47-50, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, it's not like they're 50-47. Yeah. And maybe we could get a little more excited. They still are 7 games back from the wild card. They still got, 5 teams between them? There's a long haul. Come on, guys.
They're coming back.
And you know what? I'm going to say something that's old and tired, and you don't want to hear it. Baseball season is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's true.
Okay?
Absolutely. It's a game. It's a game unlike any other. And this is why, and to get back to the series really quick before we go to break, this is why it was so impressive what the Tigers were able to do in this series against the Dodgers, because losses are going to happen. The best teams in Major League Baseball lose like 60 games.
Yep.
The fact that they were able to shake off the one on Friday, which was heartbroken, which was the Tarek Skubal start, where they spotted them a 3-0 lead and committed way too many base running blunders. They were able to come back from that and win the last 2 with comebacks in the 9th inning. That's impressive because it is a long season. You can't let losses turn into multiple losses, and they didn't do it.
Maybe the Dodgers are broken. They lost 4 in a row coming in.
Yeah, no, and they've got some injuries. Fortunately, I believe they're not really being threatened in the division quite yet, but the Dodgers, they're a team that has had a lot of regular season success but does a lot of this in the playoffs. I'll just say that. But you know who never chokes?
It's Mark White.
Absolutely.
Because Mark White's going to do you right. Mark White's going to change your life.
Oh,
You just got to hit up Mark White, Terry. Hit up Mark White, and you'll save up to $5,000 on your new home. Hit up Mark White at markwhitesells.com if you're looking to buy or sell your new home. Or call him at 248-290-8242. Because who's going to change your life, Terry? Mark White's going to change your life.
Oh, yeah. That man scares me
Let me just
sometimes.
say, I love Planet Fitness.
Trying out Planet Fitness, and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Listen, the PF Black Card is worth every penny for this hydro massage. I'm a new man.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home? Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
All the benefits, all for less. Planet Fitness, big fitness energy for all.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Hey, cruising on into the second hour of Big D Energy live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam filling in for Neil Rule. The man to my left is Terry Foster. We got Easy in the house. We've got KG. We've got Spencer Rackstar. And last Monday, we didn't really get a chance to talk about the Pistons. And we all know that they made a lot of moves this offseason. They seem like a pretty revamped team, I would say. They got a new head coach. They got a new president of basketball operations. They had a draft. They had a free agency period where they made some moves. They made a trade, got some assets. So, Terry Foster, how do you feel about what the Pistons have done this offseason so far?
I like it, and not in love with it, but there's new direction. My problem with the Pistons is I think they hired a good guy in Trajan Langdon. My fear, though, do you remember the movie Arthur?
Yeah.
That Arthur owns the team, and that Arthur hasn't let go of having Arn tell him get in the mix, and he trying to do stuff, and he's trying to mentor a dude who knows more about basketball than he does. That's my fear. If they stay out the way, I'll be down with the Pistons.
Was any of that fear, and I know it's early, I know they haven't played a game yet in this era, but was any of that fear somewhat alleviated when you saw them making the Tobias Harris move, the Malik Beasley move, the Tim Hardaway Jr. trade, in which they got some assets for it? Are those moves that you like and maybe lead you to believe that Trajan Langdon is the man in charge and there's not too many cooks in the kitchen?
So far, yes.
Okay.
But that doesn't last forever sometimes. But I'm hoping this does, that they just give it to him. And I tell you, another thing is that's going to be critical is Bickerstaff.
Yeah.
Developing players. Now, I know we all want to see the Pistons in the playoffs, and sometimes we might say outrageous things like, oh, can they win 45 or 50 games? No. But what you need to do, here's what Piston fans need to look. Are these players getting better? Mm-hmm. Are they developing? Or are they just running up and down the court?
Fair.
One guy that I really think we need to watch is Durham. And not if he can pick and pop, which he's not going to do, or if he can roll to the basket. I want to see his defense. Because the Pistons are embarrassing defensively. And I want to see what Bickerstaff does with them defensively.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because that's Bickerstaff's calling card in Cleveland. They were always a good defensive team. And I know, and we've talked about it, Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, those are defensive big men that I don't think Jalen Duren will ever quite achieve that level of defensive prowess, but it's something
Don't say never.
He's got the body. He's got the frame. He's got the athleticism. So do you think that a coach like J.B. Bickerstaff with his defensive prowess and his pedigree, is Jalen Duren somebody that he can work with? Do you think Jalen Duren can ever become I don't want to say a top defensive center, but somebody who is worthy of being on this team long term, somebody who can be an all-star?
No. Stop selling yourself short. He needs to become a top defensive center.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about number 2 or number 3 in the league, but top 5. Can we do that at some point?
I would love it.
Because he's an athlete. He's got that NBA. He's had that NBA body since he was 12.
Yes, he has.
So, and Bickerstaff has done it before. Why can't he do it in Detroit?
Well,
there's no reason to say no. It can happen. Not saying it's going to, but it can happen, and it should.
So does that mean that you like the hire of J.B. Bickerstaff? Do you think they brought in the right guy for the job? At least from what you know so far. We haven't seen him play a game with him as coach.
Yeah, I remember his dad is a coach.
Ernie.
So, I wouldn't mind if they had his dad. His dad's old now. But, yeah, I always thought they need somebody young who could identify with younger players, but trying to teach them some old school skills. And I'm not saying let's go to the bad boy Pistons or the going to work Pistons, but you can't be a sieve defensively.
No.
You got to have at least – there was no effort.
That's true. That's what always bothered me about the whole Troy Weaver regime, because I'm bullish on Cade Cunningham. When we talk about athletes in Detroit that I have no objectivity over, that I fanboy over, there's Cade Cunningham, there's Riley Green, and there's Aiden Hutchinson. So that I'm giving my qualifier there. But one thing that always bothered me was it seems as if, and I know I'm not an NBA GM, and I don't claim to be one. I'm not an NBA coach. I don't claim to be one. It seems like Cade Cunningham is the archetype of player that is fairly easy to build around. If they got him some three-point shooting, if they became better defensively, this could really be expedited to where this Pistons team looks unrecognizable from the year before. But with Troy Weaver, it was just get a bunch of big men, draft a bunch of people who can't shoot, and it bothered me. So I'm happy that there at least seems to be a direction with those things being emphasized.
No, that is correct. Now, I spoke with someone in the Pistons front office, and they said that Cade Cunningham can't make other players better. I disagreed. I said the players around him can't take advantage of what Cade Cunningham is providing for him. Cade Cunningham is a facilitator. Let's say this team becomes good. Let's say they become great. Cade Cunningham is not going to be Michael Jordan. He's going to be more like Magic Johnson if they become great. And from the standpoint of, I think Magic, if you average 8 points a game in the league and you play with Magic, you average 12 to 14 points a game. Yep. When Cade Cunningham brings the ball down the floor, you got 5 set of eyes on him because there's no fear anywhere else. So, yeah, you can lock in on him, and then he's going to turn the ball over at times. He's going to make some great plays at times, but when you game plan for one player, that one player is going to be tough for him. So now you bring in your three-point shooters, and Jalen Duren gets better and stuff like that. Then all of a sudden, Cade Cunningham looks better.
Yeah, he was fighting for his life out there a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. You're just looking depressed and exhausted when he'd be at the podium following those losses. And I wanted to get your thoughts on this because right back-to-back in the chat, you see, and I don't know if he's being serious, DNCENT, 42 wins incoming. And then right below him, it says, Real Cream of Wheat, just get to 20 wins. What do you foresee from this Pistons team? What would look like a success to you, Terry Foster?
32. Ooh. I'm going to say that would be a success for 32. Now, I know they won 14 games. You probably say, well, if they won 25, that'd be good. Mm-hmm. No, but I'm going to say 32 from this standpoint. This team, once again, like the Tigers, have been pathetic for almost a decade. So you need to try to get out of that. They're not in the basement, man. They're below the basement. I don't know they're in the crawl space below the basement. So you've got to do better than that. I am not going to jump up and down. But if they do 32, I'm going to say, all right, bravo, cheerio.
That's a wildly successful season, I think, given what they did last year.
It's not.
Sure.
What has happened is our expectations have been thrashed. I had a conversation with Kool-Aid, and he thought, like this year, he said, they're going to be good. They're going to win 32 games. I said, bro, winning 32 games is not good.
No.
Come on now.
Unfortunately, it's not. It speaks more to hopefully getting some linear and incremental improvement and I know I'm looking way too far into the future, that My prediction was 28, which 28-32. 28 could turn into 32. 32 could turn into 28 based off of many, many factors.
How about this? Don't lose 28 games in a row.
Yeah, how about that? Don't lose 28 games in a row. Don't start the season with Killian Hayes and Asar Thompson in your starting lineup. How about that?
That's improvement right there. If you got rid of Killian Hayes, which they did, and didn't add anybody to the roster, your team is automatically better.
They are. He should have started another career as a bricklayer. There were many.
Killian Hayes was so bad, it would be like putting my old ass out there and playing with them. How's that going to work out?
It's not. But for some reason, Monty Williams thought better to start him over Jaden Ivey at the beginning of the season. I want to get your take really quick before we move on to teams that have had a little more recent success. Jaden Ivey. Do you think a Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham combination in a starting lineup can work for this team moving forward?
It can work, but here's what they need to do is through the course of the game, start those two together, finish together. But during the course of the game, they need to stagger their minutes. Cade should be out there. Jaden Ivey should come out and provide a different tempo. Surprise the other teams. So I would say the first 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes, play them together. But in between, they're not going to play together.
All right.
Under my scenario.
I don't hate it. Obviously, it would be great if both of those draft picks worked out and they could be part of a core moving forward. But at least we know with Cade Cunningham, he's locked up. He signed as a long-term deal, and I think he's going to be the guy that leads the Pistons back to the promised land. But we shall see. It should be fun. I'm just glad that we have some positivity.
What's your definition of the promised land? 40 wins?
That's a great question. No, obviously not 40 wins. But even though I picked them to win 28, it's weird. I feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because I'm picking them to win 28 because I've been hurt so many times. But at the same time, I'm talking about how you could make moves like even a Malik Beasley, and it will look better being around Cade than Malik Beasley on another team, and maybe things can be expedited a little bit. I don't know.
You can. Here's another great concept. How about having a head coach that actually wants to be here?
Hey, how about that?
They got that too.
J.B. Bickerstaff wants to be here.
Right.
And Monty Williams never did. And Monty Williams did one of the worst head coaching jobs I've ever seen. It was shameful, honestly, but at the same time, he never wanted to be there, and he probably shouldn't have ever got that much money in the first place.
But that goes back to Arthur, who's running the team. That just let me just bring in the name.
Yeah, that's what they did. And honestly, I'll stand up and admit it. I thought it was a good hire. I was along the same route. I don't know if I want any, Charles Lee or Kevin Ollie. They haven't done it like Monty Williams, but as I've said before, Monty Williams, when you really look back at his coaching career, was he more of a Chris Paul merchant than anyone? Than a good coach? I don't know. But
who's the best coach in NBA history, in your opinion?
Probably Greg Popovich.
Okay, you bring in Popovich, they probably win 24 games. So what's that get you? You're still one of the worst teams in the NBA.
Yes.
But maybe if they won more games, they would have gotten the number one pick because it seems like the worst record in the NBA doesn't get the number one pick.
No, it does not. But do you know what always gets the number one pick? With unfortunate circumstances, KDK Law. It should be your number one pick if you're going through a divorce or anything like that. As KG says, don't let that woman do you wrong. They are open. They are available 24/7. They will get you your best deal out of it during a very, very difficult time. I did not call him. I am a happily married man. And you know what? The best part, she didn't watch. But she probably watched this right now as I said that, so I incriminated myself in another degree. I was trying to be funny, but it worked out terribly. But KDK Law, for all of your divorce needs, go visit them. They will not let you get done wrong.
Come to any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week, walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Welcome back to Big D Energy live on the Woodward Sports Network. We are live from the Calvin Johnson Charity Golf event at Detroit Golf Club, sponsored by Randy Wise. It was a very, very fun event. Now people are out golfing, and we kind of got this room to ourselves. But for a while there, it was a who's who of Detroit athletes in here, and Randy Moss even made an appearance. I didn't get to meet him, unfortunately, but
See, I need to get Randy Moss on this show.
I would love to get Randy
Because
Moss
I
on the show.
got a scenario I need to talk to him about. Something he doesn't know about. That I got into an argument with the Detroit Lions over him.
Is that something you want to share? Or
I'll
do you
share it.
Okay.
I would. At the Silverdome, they had a kitchen where the coaches and the media used to, intermingle.
Yeah.
So Ron Hughes, who was the player personnel director then, he came in there, and I lambasted him. I said, dude, why didn't you guys take Randy Moss? And I said, I'm sick and tired of the character thing. Oh, he doesn't have character. I said, just bring some dudes in who can play. He looked at me straight in the eye and said, the reason we didn't pick Randy Moss had nothing to do with character. And whenever NFL people talk to you, they talk down to you because I'm in the meeting. Like, you don't know anything. He said, what you didn't notice about Randy Moss is he has alligator arms.
Oh, boy.
And I said, this dude looks like an all-pro player in warm-ups. I don't want to hear that stuff, the alligator arms. That's baloney.
And there's never been a more man amongst boys than Randy Moss at Marshall. Unfortunately, he had some issues which didn't allow him to play at Florida State or Notre Dame, but he landed at Marshall, and he could have won that Heisman that Charles Woodson won. It was stupid just watching him. He was bigger, he was faster, he put up better numbers than everybody. It was just
I got to see it firsthand because I am a Chippewa.
Yes.
Man, he used to come at this Mount Pleasant, man, and just own the stadium. They should just call it Randy Moss Stadium.
Yep. And I know, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen this. There was a 30 for 30 Rand University. If you want to see some Randy Moss Marshall highlights, watch that documentary. Absolutely amazing. Spenmo Rexter.
Got a little bit of breaking news here. It happened a little earlier. Per John Heyman of the New York Post, Orioles starter Corbin Burns is expected to be the all-star starter for the AL over Tariq Skubal.
Oh, boo hiss, boo hiss.
So it looks like Tariq Skubal is not going to be the all-star starter.
So the last time we saw Corbin Burns on a mound, I think they lost to the Cubs. I think the Baltimore Orioles got shut out. He wasn't terrible or anything like that. But I was, the wheels were turning in my head when I was thinking about who was going to start the AL All-Star team. I think it should be Skubal. I'm not going to yell and scream. I'm not going to pound the table. I thought that maybe because Corbin Burns is the ace on one of the best teams in the American League and seems to be that missing piece for a team that was good last year but needed to get over the top this year. I don't necessarily hate it. I would have rather it been Skubal, but Corbin Burns, I think I would have been a little bit more upset if it were somebody like Seth Lugo. I can stomach Corbin Burns. You seem to not be that bothered about it.
Yeah, I think part of this has to do with the fact that the Tigers were not a factor until maybe recently. And they're still not a factor, but they're at least hot now. But I think part of it has to do with the team, and that's why Corbin is in there.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we're probably going to see him.
Oh, Mr. Stat Man, pull up everybody's stats. Let us know
All right.
what's going on here.
All right, Corbin Burns. What did he do in his last game? I think Skubal's probably fare a little bit more favorably than Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns, 9.43 ERA. His last start,
9.43.
Or did I say 9.43?
You said 9.43.
Whoa!
I was about to say.
Whoa!
Yeah.
2.43, 9-4 record. 2.43 ERA. Let me look up Skubal.
What's his whip?
What's his whip?
And strikeouts. I know Skubal's got more strikeouts.
110 strikeouts, 104.
Skubal's got like 150, I think.
Yeah, I think it's probably just a product of it's the Baltimore Orioles.
Boo. Boo.
KG, I know you yelled, who cares? I agree, because when you're a pitcher, you only affect the game 1 out of every 5 days.
Yes.
And if somehow they could make a Tarek Skubal that could pitch for the Tigers every day if there were no injuries or fatigue, obviously this team would be great. When he pitches, generally they win. So I don't love it, but like I said, I'm not going to get too outraged about it.
You think if he would have got that win against the Dodgers, he would be the starter?
No, here's the dirty little secret in sports. A lot of times, all-stars or starters and things are picked partly based on team success. MVPs are picked upon team success. I think this was part of it because the Tigers, they just weren't anything for a long, long time.
Yeah, and Lem's 31M, I got to read this because it's actually funny. When I accidentally said 943 for Corbin Burns' stat, he goes like, "That's Maeda's page, Sam." That's funny.
Right.
Yeah. But I will say this. Getting back.
Maeda turned to Nolan Ryan when he was coming out of the bullpen. Like, what was that?
Bro.
You don't have that pressure on him.
Yeah, that's true.
Kenta Maeda was the MVP of that game.
He was lights out.
I can't believe it. He was the MVP of that game.
He was lights out. It was awesome.
Like, obviously, at the beginning, Bo Brisky started, and it was a little shaky.
Hey, you don't take my MVP away from Colt Keith, all right?
Of the game.
Colt Keith is the MVP of July. Colt Keith is the MVP of the last game. You put respect on his name, Flannel.
He is not MVP of the last game. He is not.
Would they have won without him? No.
He is. You could argue he was MVP of Saturday. Sunday, he was not MVP of that game.
Yeah,
he was
fair.
like that Saturday 100%. Like that game tying home run. That's ice water in the.
Yeah, I think we're getting our comebacks mixed up.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, but it's weird though. If we're talking about, because you guys brought it up, it's interesting. You want to talk about Sunday's game. A couple of who had this on their bingo card? A couple of the unsung heroes of that game were Kenta Maeda and Zach McKinstry.
You know, sometimes you get it. Baseball is a long season for a reason. You need guys to step up. Did not think Kenta Maeda was going to step up. Not going to lie, but like I said, he looked like Mariano Rivera coming out of that bullpen. So you like to see that. McKinstry, he can run into one every now and then. So it's good to see him get that knock. You need these guys to step up if you're going to play 162 games. You need guys like that to step up every now and then.
Yeah, and Kevin Donaldson. Maybe Maeda will have a resurgence in the bullpen where guys only see him once through the order. I'm not counting on Kenta Maeda to give you much of anything, but hey, I'm not going to say it was a turning point win, but getting both series wins in this homestand, that was huge, and Kenta Maeda stabilized things after at the beginning it was a little shaky, primarily due to, and this is where people are going to dunk on me a little bit, some defensive ineptitude.
Dunk on him.
Because I'm not as high.
I thought you're so worried. I thought defense doesn't matter.
Win the Kansas City series, and maybe we can talk.
I will say this. I don't think defense doesn't matter. I think if you are only a good defensive player and can't hit, I don't have much room for you.
Yep. You said defense don't matter.
I did not say that. Hey,
Terry Flannel doesn't care about defense, bunting, or stealing bases.
Wow.
I care about
and he don't care about winning either, obviously.
Just remember, I have the ultimate trump card when it comes to this, which is ironic given what happened Saturday. But anywho, I shouldn't have said that.
Hey, let's just put out a nice little ball club and let them try hard. I don't care what happens.
I shouldn't have said.
He wants walks or home runs. That's all he cares
I will
about.
say this. I will say this. If defense mattered as much as offense, if you could be, then Parker Meadows would have been in the MLB this entire season. He was a Gold Glove level center fielder. He just couldn't hit worth a damn.
He couldn't hit his weight.
You know, if the Dodgers made one more defensive play, they would have won the game Saturday.
That's true.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Whatever it was.
Thought defense doesn't matter, though, Flannel.
See, it matters, but you don't have, to me, you don't have any place on my team if you're one of those light-hitting catchers who play defense. Like, at this point, I'm ready to launch Jake Rogers to the sun.
Rake Rogers?
Oh, Rake Rogers. I understand that he's Tarek Skubal's personal catcher and everything, but he ain't hitting. He's awful.
No,
at least he's a hitter.
He's pretty bad. He's got a cool mustache, though, Flannel. That means something, right?
It means nothing. It means less to me than anybody, and you know that.
Wow.
I want to ask you guys right now, Terry and Flannel, if you had to pick one for the rest of their career, are you taking Tariq Skubal or Paul Skeens?
Paul Skeens.
I'm probably going Skeens, too.
Yeah, Skeens is better.
It's insane.
Yeah, he's just magic.
Yeah.
But, you know, tell me who's going to have a Tommy John injury. But you can't predict that. But Skeens.
Have you seen all his warm-ups, Terry? He's got like a big neck roll that he wears, and he does little throws with to get his arm warmed up.
Yeah. When somebody does crazy stuff like that, they've got everything figured out.
Paul Skeens is the best pitcher on earth.
He is.
He really is.
He is.
He came right into Major League
Today.
Baseball.
And he's dating Libby Dunn.
It's like, and as I was talking to our one of our behind the scenes guys in the back, Noah Woolbrecht. Great job, by the way. He does a great job here.
Shout out Noah.
He mentioned this, and when you look at it, it's true. Paul Skeens has not had a bad game.
No,
not one.
Not a single one.
A bad game for him is like a 6-inning, 3 earned run quality start. At this point, given his last few starts, a subpar game for him is like 6 innings, 2 runs.
Could he actually win the NL Cy Young?
There's a guy in Atlanta, isn't it like Reynaldo Lopez or somebody?
Yeah,
who's
Chris Sale's having a damn good year too.
I think he can. I really do. If Paul Skeens continues this run for the second half of the year, especially if somehow the Pirates can claw their way into a wild card spot, which they're alive for, by the way. The Pittsburgh Pirates are alive and well for the wild card. I think there's a very good chance that Paul Skeens could win it. He could do what like Fernando Valenzuela did in 1981, where it was like Fernando Mania. I think that's probably the last time we've seen anything like this. Although I believe the Dodgers won the World Series that year, which the Pittsburgh will not do.
No,
but
they will not.
It's just been a. But hey, if you get Paul Skeens in the playoff series, that's a game, probably 2 games that you're probably going to win. So you're going to have more of a chance.
Had more going for him from the standpoint. It was a Hispanic player in L.A. doing really well, and he stirred up that fan base there.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It was and he was really good. He was the best pitcher in the world as a rookie.
And last time I checked, Paul Skeens is in Pittsburgh.
He is in Pittsburgh.
And I'm from Pittsburgh.
Big difference.
There certainly is a big difference. But, there's no difference when it comes to great celebrity golf tour and other great celebrity golf tour. And you get that from Randy Wise, of course. We went to Oakland Hills Golf Club. We did one of Randy Wise's celebrity golf tours. We're doing one today with the Calvin Johnson Foundation charity golf event for the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. We had a winner right here who's playing in a foursome with Darren McCarty right now. What could you want more than that? Randy Wise Automotive Team. Randy Wise.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports, driving the best in Detroit sports coverage. Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza is taking over Michigan. Locations are popping up all over Metro Detroit, known for their quality, hand-battered, hand-breaded chicken tenders, delicious chicken sandwiches, New York-style pizza, and the best biscuits in the biscuit game. I'm telling you, don't care about Popeyes, don't care about churches. Go to Soroki's if you want some good biscuits. They just opened a location in Madison Heights. You can find a store near you at Soroki's.com. Soroki's, now that's crispy.
Hey, welcome back. Big D Energy live on the Woodward Sports Network. I am Flannel Sam. The man to my left is Terry Foster, and all that talk about Soroki's is getting me pretty hungry, and I'm probably going to smash this buffet at about 1:01 p.m.
Shout out to the Detroit Golf Club for putting on the buffet. They got burgers. They got some thick glizzies over there. It's some good food.
Absolutely. I cannot wait for that. Dante151 with a $10 super chat. Thank you. Apparently you can bet the All-Star game. The AL team is favored at minus 118, and the over-under is 7.5. And you can bet on who wins the Derby. If people bet on that, should they call the bet helpline? Yes, 100%.
If you bet on baseball, you need help, man.
Yes.
That's fair.
It's so random. As I said, the best teams will lose 60 games. The worst teams will win 60 games. You rarely see a team even double their win total to their losses. There's too much variance when it comes to it. There's 162 of them. But yeah, betting an All-Star game is pretty degenerate. I would say that. But do you know what probably is not degenerate. We shall see. The Detroit Red Wings. I want to get to them really quickly before we get to mailbag because we talked Lions a lot in the first hour with Lomas Brown and Rob Sims, and those are some people that you want to hear from on the subject. But the Detroit Red Wings, they've had their off season. It looks like everything has slowed down, and they may just be what they are at this point. So Terry Foster, for this next upcoming season,
yes, sir.
Who is the Red Wings' most important player?
I think it's Patrick Kane. From this standpoint, is he a one-hit wonder? If he's a one-hit wonder and they bring him back and he's not doing much, that's going to really bring the team down. But if he comes back and he plays at a high level, they're going to be really dangerous.
Absolutely. And Pete Spivak just entered the building.
Pete's looking like a dad on vacation right now. I
Most
love it.
certainly.
He does. Yeah.
Hey. Hey, you can certainly get a good look at him today on Ermanni and Edwards. Right now.
He not only looks like a dad on vacation, he looks like a drunk dad.
He is.
What's up, buddy boy?
Hey, what up? Yeah, Pete is the absolute man. You'll see him later on at 2 p.m. on Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. But I want to go to you, Spenny. I know we've talked a lot of Red Wings on our times on Big D Energy, but I want to ask you, who is the most important Red Wing in this upcoming season?
I had a tough time picking one person. Honest, can I do two?
Absolutely.
Can I do two Red Wings?
Yes,
okay.
you can.
I think the two Red Wings that are most important for them going into next season are number one, Cam Talbot. Him being in net, him being the goaltender going forward, I think he needs to be better than what the Red Wings had last year. He needs to win some of those close games. He can't let in the easy goals. They brought him in here to try to make a playoff push to improve their goaltending from last year, and I think he is an important part of that. And the other guy, I think it's Ben Sherratt. Now, since you didn't go out there and get a solidified top four defenseman to add to your top two pairings, I think Ben Sherratt needs to step up, play how he played down the stretch last year, where he was arguably the second best defenseman on the Red Wings roster last year down the stretch. If Ben Sherratt can play a whole season like he did in the last handful of games last year, I think the Red Wings have a very good chance of making the playoffs.
All right, Mr. Analytics, you going to argue with him?
No, I look at it a little bit differently, but the Ben Sherratt one is interesting, and Cam Talbot, of course, because we all know the Red Wings need better goaltending. But I'm going to go a similar route, but I'm going to go with the star. I think that it's Mo Seider. And it's along some of the same routes as Spenny said when it comes to Ben Sherratt. I think there is a possibility that there's going to be some concern with this defense moving forward. I know that Albert Johansson is going to come up. I know that we're going to have an entire season of Simon Edvinsson. I'm happy that they held on to Ben Sherratt because I think he's been actually one of the better Steve Yzerman signings over his tenure with the Detroit Red Wings. But there's some concern. I'm thinking we might see a little too much Petrie and Olimata on this defense. So we're going to need a guy like Mo Seider to take an even bigger leap than he did last season. And I know Mo Seider is the least of the Red Wings' problems at this point, so I don't want to put too much pressure on him. If he does relative to what he did last year plus a little improvement, I would probably take that. But we're going to need him to be that guy. We're going to need him at some point to be that one who contends for the Norris Trophy. I'm not saying he's going to win it this year. He's going to be in true contention this year. But if he does, if he really pops and becomes one of the top defensemen in the NHL undisputedly, that will maybe cover up some holes that they weren't able to fill in free agency.
And to your point, young man, at some point in the NHL, your stars have to be stars.
Yes.
So I like the Mo Seider one.
That's why I actually agree and I like what Brandon Katz said in the Woodward Sports Chat about Lucas Raymond. He said Lucas Raymond is the most important Red Wing, and he's up there for sure. Lucas Raymond, I expect him to take the jump to superstardom next year. I expect a 40-goal season out of Lucas Raymond next year, him to be that first-line guy, him to be that first power play guy, and I expect him to go out there and put a ton of pressure on opposing teams. He showed his physicality as part of his game last year where he was getting to the boards, taking the puck away from people in the forecheck. We need Lucas Raymond to really step up and to continue his hot play last year that really started when Ben Sherratt roughed him up a little bit at practice. Then you saw Lucas Raymond go out there and be that guy on this team. We saw him be the assistant captain for Team Sweden in the games earlier in the World Majors, and I expect Lucas Raymond to take that leap next year and to be that guy going forward.
And I think the pressure is off of Lucas Raymond from this standpoint. They wanted to look at him last year to see if he was worth being part of the long-term future where he would get paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think he proved that. And so, obviously, you have to repeat yourself. But I just thought last year was the year he really had to show them.
Yeah.
Lucas Raymond is an excellent one, and I don't think anybody would be surprised if he leads the team in scoring and goals. I actually think that would probably be good for the team. It would be certainly good for him. The only reason that I would say Sider over Raymond is because with Lucas Raymond, I would say he's a little bit more insulated. I'm not saying that, you want to see him be on lines or not have any help, but they do have Tarasenko, they do have Kane, they've got DeBrincat, they've got Larkin, they've got better players offensively for Lucas Raymond to work with. Defensively with Sider, I'm worried. I'm a little worried because I think the Jake Wallman loss that people are dismissing as nothing could come back to haunt. I mean, not be the worst thing in the world, but he's a piece that could have played on this team. Even a guy like Shane Gostisbehere, who on a previous show I was okay with letting walk, but in my flannel offseason plan, they made a bigger move in defensively in the offseason. So I'm a little bit worried.
I think you got Gustafsson to replace Gostisbehere. I think that's a pretty linear move. And the Wallman, I like the Wallman pairing with Sider, but you needed to free up that money to get these deals done, and hopefully they get them done pretty soon here. I'm starting to get a little itchy without Sider and Raymond getting paid yet, but I think they'll get those 2 deals done. I think both of those guys are going to be in Detroit for a long time, and that's a good thing to hear.
I'm doing up here? I'm being really, really, really bad. I got a new name for Flannel Sam.
What's that?
The Contradictor. No, he'll say, I think Lucas Raymond is under the gun. I kind of worry about him. But I'm not saying he's going to be bad.
Yeah.
But, but he could be good. But I'm worried about him being bad.
I never said that. I never said those words about Lucas Raymond.
Well, you said about everybody else.
Well,
you said you were worried about Mo Sider. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but I'm worried.
I'm not worried about Mo Sider by himself. A lot of people aren't going to like this, with somewhat of the inaction with free agency. They brought in Gustafsson. You're going to have Edvinsson for the whole year. They lost Wallman. They lost Gostisbehere. I think that there's a chance that Mo Sider, in order for this team to reach its peak, will have to make a bigger leap than he's even capable at this point. Do I think that there's a Norris Trophy in Mo Sider's future? Absolutely. Do I think he's going to make that leap this season? Time will tell. He's going to be better. That's what I mean, because there's a lot of pressure on him. I think there's more pressure on him than there is on Lucas Raymond. Although Lucas Raymond, he's got a...
Fellas.
What's up?
This is flannel. The Lions are not going to make the Super Bowl next year. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen, and it probably will happen, but they're not going to the Super Bowl. This is what this man does.
I'm not fencing.
He's fencing.
He's special.
If you want to make sure you can sit on the fence without it breaking, you should go to Planet Fitness, because Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. At Planet Fitness, you'll experience a squeaky clean gym, tons of equipment, full-body workout in 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. You can upgrade to the Black Card to get use of the amenities like they got the massage chairs, the hydro massage, total body enhancement, tanning beds, anything you need. There's tons of Planet Fitnesses near you. Check it out at planetfitness.com or just walk into one to sign up today. Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
So just to get the heated steering wheel, I also had the spring for the bigger rims.
Yeah, that's how they get you. Those upgrades will cost you an arm and a leg every time.
Hey, new car crew, how'd it go this weekend? I got a great deal on mine.
How?
I went to Randy Wise, not those other guys. They got me in a great new ride, and they didn't break my budget. Hey, could you pass me the sugar?
How?
Never mind.
He made the wise choice.
Yep.
Make the wise choice at RandyWiseBuickGMC.com.
Thank you to the Detroit Lions and Sheila Hamp for the best season in Lions history. Now it's time to let Brad Holmes cook. Woodward Sports.
For expert sports injury insight, don't miss our injury insider, Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. He's live on Big D Energy on Tuesdays and Ermanni and Edwards with Maz on Thursdays. Make sure you trust the guy that D-Mac trusts. Dr. Jeff Pierce has been keeping people in the game and at their best for a long time now, so make sure you tap in when he's on the shows. It's Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine.
Hey, last segment of the day, Big D Energy.
We done already?
Hey, we are almost done. We got 8 minutes left in the show.
I got a great stat. Flannel's going to love it. It's this.
Of course he will.
This Tigers offense in July and where they rank amongst other teams in the MLB. This is pretty wild. They are first in OPS with .847. They are second in win percentage, fourth in home runs, and first in triples.
That makes sense. When you really look at it, when I gave you the numbers of the guys who were really on fire in the month of July, I mentioned the Colt Keys, the Riley Greens, the Justin Henry Malloys, even a Carson Kelly, Andy Ibanez, even Gio Urshela. That's a big part of your team, and you've seen it. And I believe in the homestand they average 5.7 runs per game, which is elite. On this Tigers team, you're going to win most of your games if you do that. So maybe this offense is a little bit better than any of us ever thought. That some of those pieces that people think are bums are actually decent. We shall see. They might have to still make a move if they want to make a run, but I've always said there's something romantic about moneyballing it a little bit, getting value out of players who people dismiss, like Andy Ibanez and Carson Kelly. I never forgot about you guys. And AJ Hinch, shout out to you.
Shout out
AJ Hinch. I gave him a lot of flack, and by a lot of flack, I called for his job. I will say this. He must be listening. Welcome to the show, AJ. Welcome to the show, Mr. Hinch, because I've seen him play Carson Kelly and Andy Ibanez in the same lineup back-to-back days, as he should. As any manager should.
Terry, how do you feel about the offense?
I mean, right now, I'm stunned. I was sick and tired of, the Tigers, they got 3 hits in 7 innings. This is their offensive output, and they're looking really good. Score some runs. Score some damn runs. I'm very appreciative of what I see. How long is this going to last? Because the thing about baseball, you talk about you're going to win at least 60 games or lose at least 60 games. Every team in Major League Baseball has a run. Mm-hmm. Is that run going to last 10 games? Is it going to last 15 games? Or is it going to last the whole season? Everybody's going to have a run at some point. It's like everybody's going to reach a slump. Maybe this is just their run. The All-Star break came at the wrong time. Because these guys are feeling good about themselves. I know A.J. Hinch said that, they're tired and they're worn out because of the way they've been winning. But, when you can walk in that clubhouse and you're feeling good about yourself, you're going to win more games you're going to lose. But now, all that's out of the way. The All-Star break comes. Let's see what they are when they come back.
You know what else I'd like to see the Tigers do down the stretch? Get more wins when Reese Olson starts. Because you mentioned it, that feeling in the clubhouse of getting a win. Reese Olson deserved to experience that this first half a lot more than he did. But to be fair, in the month of July, the Tigers did win both starts of Reese Olson's, which makes sense because in the month of July...
There he goes, Terry. There he goes. Saying one thing and then saying the other right after.
Wait a minute. Over the totality of the season, the Tigers' record when Reese Olson starts is morbid. And the Tigers, over the totality of the season, should be jailed of what they've done to Reese Olson. That's true. What is also true is in the month of July, the Tigers are 2-0 when Reese Olson starts. Maybe they're turning it around. Maybe it's a sign of things to come. Maybe some of their core pieces, is it a coincidence that when Colt Keith and Riley Green are on a tear that the Tigers are good? No.
He cleaned it up well.
Yeah, he did.
I'm just saying. And Svetty, I know you're going to love this. I saw this in the chat, and I instantly thought of you.
Colt Keith for MVP?
That was not it. It's something that you probably won't like. You're a fan of the song Dear Prudence by the Beatles, correct?
Yes, I am.
Mike O put the lyrics, the sun is up, the sky is blue, it's beautiful, and so is you at Lorena Rios.
Oh, God.
Why would anybody do that, right?
Get a room, you bums.
Yeah, that's. And if you guys have any mailbag questions, drop them in. I know I forgot to.
I think I need to apologize to Flannel Sam. because a few weeks ago I asked him, have you even heard of the Beatles?
He said, of course I have. Why would you even ask me something like that? That's disrespectful.
But I asked him that.
That's okay. No, it's fine. A lot of people in my demographic haven't heard of them. They've been my favorite band for a long time, and they still are. I'd say that the greatest, and I also like to watch that documentary, The Beatles Anthology. I watch it religiously. It's a lot of fun. And you know what? Thank you guys in the chat, by the way. I see a lot of great shows. Greg A., thank you very much. I seeing lots of people. Thank you so much for tuning in. And you know what? I think that'll do it for today. We've had a great time. It was fun having a show with Terry Foster where there was a little bit more civility, but that's all well and good because even when we did a show that was a little contentious, we hugged it out afterwards.
We did, and I'm glad that your marriage is no longer threatened. I'm excited about that.
It is not threatened, but for the Detroit Golf Club, for all of you in the chat, Randy Moss in the house. Oh, man, maybe I'll have to go get a chance to beat him. But for everybody in the chat, for all of you watching, for KG, for Spencer Raxer, for Terry Foster, for James, a.k.a. Powerneck in the chat, for Easy, thank you so much for watching. Pete Spivak as well. Tune into Ermanni and Edwards with Maz at 2 p.m. live from this location. We will see you tomorrow on Big D Energy. Well, see you later.